What's going on, Sumolings? Thank you so much for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and today I am joined by the team over at TruConversion. This is an easy-to-use funnel tracking and optimization tool that offers heat maps, session recordings, and form analytics to help you craft your best strategies. It is on AppSumo right now, starting at $29 for a lifetime deal. This is an absolute steal. So I'm glad to have you guys here. I'm going to go ahead and give you the lay of the land real quick. First thing you need to know, if you want to tell us a little bit about your use case, why you're interested in TruConversion, you can go ahead and do that in the chat room. If you have any questions about the tool, the deal, how to get set up, go ahead and leave your questions in the Q&A box that's down below this video. We're going to go ahead and answer those questions at the end of the walkthrough. And the last thing is that there will be a replay of this available. So if you need to step out or if you just want to watch this again later, you totally can. All right, enough of me. Hey, Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? Like, I was just thinking, if you want to watch this later, of course they're going to want to see it later. You know, the on-demand version there couldn't get enough today.
As many times as you want to watch it, you can
Exactly.
watch it. It's, you know, the memories that will make that. I'm excited to have you. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to you for the walkthrough. Let me know when you have questions.
Great. I will share my old, everybody don't judge me for my, okay, the window, like you can't see all my documents on the desktop because I'm a monster and I leave it a mess. And I forget that it's like that. I've given people stress just from having to look at that before. So terribly sorry if it's, you know, starting your Monday and you're getting a stress bomb from me with my desktop. But anyways, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today to kind of check out the TruConversion dashboard and tool and all this fun stuff. I'm Justin Rondo. I will be walking you through this bad boy. And really, let's I'll get started on maybe kind of some of the less sexy stuff to go. Like, I think the stuff that people like to know is there, and then we'll move into the individual features. So here's your standard TruConversion dash. If you didn't have the code put on your site, so if you were a first-time buyer, what happens when you come in here is you're prompted to take our script and install it on your site, whether you're going to hard code it, use Tag Manager, or any one of our integrations like with WordPress or anything like that. From there, it'll start gathering data. It'll probably be about a 10-15 minute latency time upon installation to be able to start seeing some of that data come in. So don't expect it to come in like right away. If you've installed it, we'll have a way to track and say like, yes, the code's installed, and it'll start doing its work. So first, I'll just go through this kind of like the logistics area. When you log in, you're going to see obviously logo there, but you'll see here at the top, if you have multiple domains, you're able to pick between them. So you'll have under your main account your different domains. You can see here, we use it at Digital Marketer, Recess, Scalable. Those are all of our sister companies as well. We have help area. So we have a really kind of in-depth knowledge base. So we have a lot of information in there as well. Notifications, and then you can go into your standard settings. So you can kind of break everything down from accounts and websites, plans, billing. Like, you'll know plans and billing is going to be kind of straightforward there. But I think some important stuff to show you too is if you have multiple domains, which a lot of these plans allow for, you can actually allocate the amount of traffic you want going to each individual domain. So if you're working with clients or anything like that, that you don't want to like have them go over a certain threshold, so you're making sure you're protecting your monthly page view allotment, this is a good way to do that. You can break it down by new websites and new accounts there. In terms of plans and billing, like this will be straightforward. This will be telling you like where all your info is. Like, this will pretty much just link back to AppSumo because you purchased through AppSumo. So I don't even know why I clicked there. Personal details kind of go down to that, where you can get monthly email or daily, weekly email notifications about your campaigns as well. And then you can go down into the user management. Users can be broken down. You can assign them to individual websites, the entire account, and you can break them down into admin's editor or viewer. So you have a little bit more control over what people are doing in your account. I've seen some people use this with clients. It's not my recommendation to do that, to have them logging in. They can see a lot of stuff that's going on. I'd recommend from there, like we have shareable links and those types of things. I'll show you how that works in a second. And then we have things like integrations, notifications, IP exclusions, and then privacy options to stay GDPR compliant and all that good stuff. In terms of integrations, currently we have a decent amount of them, mostly all CRMs, and this is going to be mostly working with our survey and micro survey functionality when you're getting an email address or asking for that. And you can work with, MailChimp, BuyContact, Campaign Monitor, HubSpot, Salesforce, Zapier, ActiveCampaign, Drip. Cool. So let's get into like some of the cooler stuff, because that's really kind of the boring stuff, but a lot of the infrastructure that I think you don't see in a lot of applications kind of out of the get-go. It's normally kind of like you have a user and that's it. We broke down your sub navigation in a way that like is the order in which we believe you should be tracking things. You'll also notice we have smart funnels and funnels. Smart funnels is always meant to supersede and kind of take the place of funnels, but we wanted to kind of keep that functionality in for new and legacy users for now. Eventually that will go away, but not for Sumolings or anybody previously. But it's a less visual funnel tool. That was kind of our initial way of tracking funnels before we came up with the concept for smart funnels. So let's go into smart funnels real quick. Let's go to a new funnel here. And really what it breaks down, you use a card functionality here. You can name it. So I can say AppSumo test. And then you start breaking everything down to say, okay, what's the page type? Is it a home page, landing page, product page, category page, sales page? So you can pick all those. And this will be important because we look at your page type and goal type, and we'll give you a recommended conversion rate. You can pick whatever you'd like for that recommended conversion rate, but we'll say, hey, generally, if you're looking at an order form page in a form submission, we'd expect to see about like 10, 20%, right? And that's a good way to give you a threshold. We're looking forward into the future for that, being able to pull a lot of hard data from users where we're able to kind of get like TruConversion users normally see this. That's something we've been really wanting to do for a while. That's required just, maximum user base. And that's the whole point of kind of doing the AppSumo launch. So let's say it was let's go landing page, and then I can name the step. So it'd be, like TruConversion sign up. And then you can break everything down into simple match, exact match, starts with, ends with, contains, regular special. Pretty much any way that you'd want to be able to identify the URL, you're able to do. We wanted to make this super simple, but as flexible as it can be for even advanced users. So let's just say, I'll just do a digital marketer because this is the DM account. So then let's do digitalmarketer.com. And then now we get into the goal side. So it's not just based off of like page views. Like you can have it be a standard funnel where it's like, if they saw this page, did they see this page next, et cetera, et cetera. But we also allow you to, oops, that is a typo. Yeah, there we go. Justin, it's Monday. Get ready to type. All right, and we'll allow you to track form submits, clicks on links, or clicks on elements. So then you'd be able to, if it's a click on a link, you'd say, where's the next page? And then that will actually factor into the next step. If you were going to click on an element, this is actually a cool thing we add here for people that don't kind of know what their CSS selector is. You can click, it'll load your actual homepage or the page that you define, and then you can choose what clicks you're looking for. So if it was this, then you can name it. It says join free button. And you can do that as much as you want throughout the page to identify those elements, which is pretty sweet. So save and finish, and then there we go, we got it, right? From there, we'll say, hey, goal conversion rate, we'll say, hey, you probably want to go around 10% for this one. You can set that, save, and you're done. So then you have your first step set. And then, so what happens after they click that link? You'd want to be able to say, what happens when they go to that sign up page? And so you put your next page step here. So it kind of go from, landing page to the next step, or it could be just as simple as if they click that button, you could make it a one-stepper where it's just, hey, I just want to monitor what's happening on this page. So you'll also see here, when they are signing up, like we'll preview the actual image of the page there so you can see it quickly. And some other kind of more advanced things that I like about this is you can track in the main dash the overall funnel conversion rate or the multiple step conversion rates. And then one thing I really, really like is being able to trigger heat maps recordings or heat maps and recordings when there's you don't reach a certain threshold for a particular conversion rate. And this is where I think we're different than a lot of the different products out there. We want our tools to be working together, because how many people have run a campaign and be like, oh, I really wish I turned that heat map on. Like, I know I did that all the time, which is why I added this functionality into here. The other thing is if you're not getting a heat map or recordings turned on at the time where the conversion rates are kind of either below threshold or at their worst, you're getting a different sample of people in there. So you want to know why things aren't working at that specific time. And that's what this allows you to do, which it makes me really, really excited about. So we get our tools working together. Similarly, for forms, if you didn't want to do a click by element and you wanted to say, hey, I want to track it by a form submit, what it'll do is then we can also fetch forms on the page. That's using our form analytics tool to identify the form, then use that as the form conversion rate. So that's kind of the basics for smart funnels and why we generally start there, because we want you to be able to start tracking the campaigns that matter. And then as you are looking at performance, you want to be able to make decisions on like how much time do you need to be investing in spending time looking at heat maps, at session recordings, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll go briefly over our standard funnels tool. This one is, it's not the nicest thing to look at, but it works pretty well. Where it's all URL based here, URL based and JavaScript triggers. So you can use particular JavaScript triggers that you can add onto the site to add events, but you don't have that level of just simplicity that you have with smart funnels there. But we do allow for and/or comparisons for like for next steps if they hit this page or this page. So say for instance, we were at digitalmarketer.com and then we were running a split test after somebody filled that form out. We could do we have also is immediately followed by step 2 or is followed by step 2. So you can make it as tight or as loose as you want. Like, does it have to show up right away after, or does it have to show up at least at some point after? And then what you can add in here is, say you had a version A, let's just say contains, and let's just have version -A, enter name version -B. So now you're able to connect that split test into this funnel tracking here. And you can do that at the smart funnels level as well. When you're looking at the report, in the reporting side of things, you can actually filter by the different versions at that given time. So you can actually start seeing the breakdowns of different campaigns. That's one way to do it. You can also have 2 separate funnels that are just a standard linear funnel as well, but we give you a few options there. You can also set different types of parameters for how they're getting into this funnel. Like if they're coming from a different traffic source or a different campaign or anything like that. And just like the other one, we have triggering heat maps in recordings as well. So that's just kind of, table stakes for us. So let's get into heat maps. Heat maps are super easy to set up. I'll show you how to set it up and I'll show you a report. We broke it down to, you have preset areas of page use, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, and you could set a custom page if you want. That was actually came from Sumo Links, who went through our application before, our beta testers, who were like, oh, I really wish we could define a custom page view now. And boom, we put it in here just before launch with AppSumo to make sure that that was something that you were able to do. Display options, super, super simple. And, keep it simple or go more advanced with regex or those things. If you're looking to look at groups of pages, you'd be using, regular expressions or anything like that to make sure that you're getting an overall template structure. So if you're using it for a product page that you're using across the site, you don't want to just do an individual product page because you might not have enough traffic. If you have enough traffic, great, but you could also have grouped pages there. And then again, more advanced options, you can hide elements from the heat map and those things. And then you can really get that thing going. So heat maps are simple to set up. It's where do I want to see this? Cool. And so let's take a look at Digital Marketer. Here's an example of one of our heat maps on the page for our new homepage. And it'll load the entire site. And this is the reporting area here. Let me move this. And you can start seeing, where people are clicking the most. As you hover over, you can see what the number of clicks and the percentages. Obviously, heat maps aren't a novel thing. It's a visualization of clicks and behavior on the page. You can see we can break it down by clicks, movement, scroll, and then we have a detailed report as well that breaks down new versus returning, campaigns, refers, time to click, etc. You can also break it down by the different device types. So let's go back to a standard heat map real quick. So you can look at different device types. So you have tablet and phone as well. You can compare your different heat maps, and you can also download the data and share. So this is a big one. If you have clients, you can just turn on the share URL and send that over to them, and they can just take a look at it, which is a nice little thing there. We also have more advanced filters here at the top, where you can start breaking it down by source, operating system, browser, campaign, or country. So say for campaign, if we wanted to, it'll redraw this based off of the filters you put there. So you're able to kind of really dive down into what individual behaviors are like on this. So that would probably be a smaller sample size. And I'll tell you the number of samples that are there. Yeah, this is 1 click and 1 visitor. So I should have picked, yeah, the person coming from YouTube came here to learn more about lab. So you can get pretty granular with this as well. I've found that heat maps, you generally want to heat maps will give you the average diagnosis of what's going on your website. And if you aren't seeing any odd behavior in terms of like, oh, they're not interacting with a button here, or they're not scrolling anywhere. Actually, this will be a fun little case study. Let's actually see on this new page where the breakdown is in terms of scroll. Let's do that. So the scroll map will tell you how far down they are actually scrolling on the page. Let me do this real quick. All right. Why is that not showing? Of course, with a demo, something happens. That's why you always stay on script. Let me refresh. All right. We'll hit that there scroll in a second. It was going up. Okay, there's clicks. All right, and you can start seeing like what the percentage breakdown. So we lose about a quarter of our people just after the fold. So it's where we want to see is if you're kind of getting in the blue, is there any key content that should be moved up higher, or what's going on? We had a case where we had like this kind of fluffy, it was just this fluffy headline and subheadline, and like nobody scrolled down or interacted with the page. So we realized that was a pretty big problem because we were losing about 50% of our visitor reach at that fold level. So again, we'll break down what the fold is, which is all the content that's seen above the fold. The fold is very much something that matters. I don't care what any sort of UX people say anymore. It does matter. It's just elastic depending on where it is. Cool. So that's there at the heat map side of things. Forms I find to be a really great underutilized tool. So let's say a digital marketer home form. Let's go to digitalmarketer.com. And so what it'll do is you put the URL of the form you're trying to get to. It'll take a look at the page to see if there's any forms that they can identify. Oh, there's no forms found on that page. Let's try another. Where do we have one? That new form, JSP, add that. And so this is actually one of our order forms for one of the digital marketer products. Reasons why is that not happening? All right, well, that's being odd. So when you can generate the form there, you'd be able to kind of view your individual report. So here's an example of the report for that URL. We might have redirected that page, which is why it's not there anymore. You'll see number of visits, total, what your conversion rate is on that page, and then if you had manual activation or from timing. The form should be loading up now. And you can start seeing the overall breakdown of everything here. So of the sessions that hit there, how many people didn't actually interact with the form? Like that's a pretty high drop-off rate for an order form when people are like clicking in and they're about to purchase. But then you can start seeing for each field, how much time do they spend on the field? What's the refill rate? What's the left blank rate? What are kind of what do your error rates look like? And then seeing what the general submission rate is over time. You can filter this report down by all these different levels of like device, operating system, browser, parameters. So if you're running a specific campaign, you can get kind of crazy, but let's just do this one. Let's do mobile, because mobile traffic is such a important factor. This is actually how we uncovered an issue with our actual mobile forms years ago on our landing pages. People were spending too much time on their email field, and so we needed to remedy that. So you can see on mobile, we're seeing it's over a third of the sessions at half of the conversion rate. That kind of stinks. So we can see like where are people running into problems here, right? Where they're spending a lot of time. And it's actually, there's nothing that's really standing out to me there. I think it's just more of a matter of matching intent with the traffic source. Okay, cool. So moving into recordings. Recordings, again, when it comes to setup, very, very similar to heat maps. You can have your recording numbers, the custom recordings themselves, really flexible way to enter your page URLs and those types of things. Another cool thing here that we added that I don't think that most tools don't do, which I'm excited about, is we want to record specific events. So how this function is, if you have a recording going on digitalmarketer.com on your homepage, and you want it to be for a specific event, like people who click that button, what we'll be doing is we'll be recording those, but we'll only save the recordings for you to review that of people that have clicked that button. So you're able to get that information. So let's go to digitalmarketer.com. I want to know anybody that clicks join free, or let's see. Or say if I want to know anybody that clicks even to learn more on Digital Marketer HQ, you'll be able to set into those. Oops, I stopped sharing. 1 second. I meant to hit back to recording step. You'll be able to select those particular events and then record only the events that you only have the recordings of those particular events that are triggered, which makes it a lot easier to go through your actual recording data, because session recordings take a long time to go through. These are some of the last things I tell people to start digging into, because they require like all those man hours, right? So let's go into recordings and take a look at a few. Let's go napkin control. And then we can start looking at some of the individual ones here. You'll see the player at the top. It'll tell you kind of your information. This is on a mobile, on an Android 9, Chrome, and the date. It's loading it up right now. We have it set to skip pauses. Then you can also have like how much faster do you want it to run? So it's rendering the page, and you can watch the person going through and scrolling through the page. We can move up to 4x. You can add specific tags. And then if there's something interesting you see in a particular recording, you can just create that share button as well and share it with a stakeholder or a member of your team, etc. So let's see. And while you're digging into recordings here, you can also filter your report where you can break it down by, hey, I only want to see a recording where they saw multiple pages, and you can say is between 1 and, let's say, is between 2 and 15 or something like that. And then it'll filter out. There's only 39 of the people recordings that we had for this had multiple pages in there, which we could infer. These are people that at least clicked through and got to the cart, right? And you could start setting up new things as well for, you know, you can break down filters too, as like, did they reach, you have an and/or statement, did they reach certain pages or anything like that? So that's really kind of the breakdown for recordings. That's kind of one of the most manual processes we have. And so these are all of our passive like analytics tools. We also have active analytics, which are the or active user feedback tools, which are things like microsurveys and surveys. And so I'll go into those real quick, and then we can kind of get to questions. And so surveys, you name them, you know, AppSumo, simple match, let's just do dm.com. And then we have a few ways for this survey to appear. Show it once to each user, only stop showing when they provide a response, continue showing even if they have responded. You can select what the devices that you want them on. Like desktop generally works well. That's kind of a good setup there. But you know, a lot of people are coming from mobile, but maybe you don't want them as focused on that on mobile since you have less time. We can have it set for instantaneous showing after they've been on the page for a particular amount of time, if they've scrolled halfway down the pages, and when they're about to abandon. And then we have all sorts of different questions you can use for the micro survey, including an opt-in form, which is where we have all of our integrations pushing to, so you can ask for their information, radio buttons, checkboxes, long text, dates, NPS, rating, and then just a standard success message. And then similar to, oops, let me go back one. I know I get this question a lot, and I'm sure I'm about to get it, because I bet you all saw powered by TruConversion. You can go into customize the design, and you can remove the logo. So you can hide TruConversion's logo. You can upload your own if you want it. And you can also change the position of where this bad boy's at. And then you can customize your themes or choose individual themes that we've already kind of have put in. Or you could just map whatever colors and font sizes to, you know, match your own branding guidelines. So that's how that one works. Let's see the settings here. And then surveys work just about the same, where they're going to be a longer form survey. And what you're going to be triggering is an invitation to take the survey, right? So, and then it will break down and go to that individual survey itself. Again, you can customize it. This is in the same way here. All the same types of settings are available here on surveys. You can customize the survey itself, where I'll say, hey, thanks for being a new customer. Like we had some just standard text. You have your survey form itself, customizing what that looks like. That's hosted by us. And then also the invitation, which is obviously this is a pretty ugly looking thing. So you'll want to kind of spruce that up a little bit more. You can look at placements for it as well. And that's kind of how you trigger all those guys. And then let's see if I have any recent data in a survey here. Now those are all old, they won't be there. And then for any type of survey or micro survey, you'll get a standard overview, kind of like where the recipients are coming from. you'll get everything broken down by the questions and the answers, and then you can dig into a detailed report that'll have, I only have one data point in there, so it won't have anything worthwhile, but the detailed report will be everything, like will be all of the survey data that you can then export. So that's the product in a nutshell. I know I covered, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. We have, you know, varying types of tools that we use, but really for us in our philosophy, it's all about kind of getting that initial tracking in place and making it easy and accurate for you to track your performance, and then to give you the tools you need to help improve that, whether that's, hey, like our conversion rate's low, we need to take a look at some heat maps or these things, or you know what, I can't figure out why people aren't converting. Let me ask them a quick micro survey or a full survey, either on abandonment or even post-purchase, like what got you to purchase this thing, or sign up for this thing or anything like that, where you get more active feedback. And so that's really the, like from a hierarchy perspective, how we look at the product levels in terms of importance and in terms of kind of mass scale for you as a business owner and a person monitoring their campaigns. But all of these work hand in hand in order to make sure that you are able to easily, accurately track your data, and then being able to actively do something about it. So that's the overall tool there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for walking us through that. Sumolings, it is time to do the Q&A. So if you have any questions that you want to drop in the Q&A box, now is your time. All right. So Peter asked a bit earlier, he said, at this point, does the smart funnel include branches?
It does not. That's on our roadmap. That's the next thing we're actually working on. So we were planning to have, like, we were working through branching and how we can kind of have a way to have more advanced funnels, because at Digital Marketer, we needed to make it that way. And so for a while, we started doing work on that and all the initial kind of mock-ups, research, and how it was going to function. And then we were like, oh, we're doing this AppSumo deal now. So we needed to actually connect with their API, and we moved resources to get everything put there. But we're moving right back to working on branching, because I believe that to be one of the weakest parts of the smart funnel tool, because most people don't have standard linear funnels anymore.
Cool, thank you. Dana says, I use write message. Does this interfere with it in any way, or is there some special setup I need to do if I'm using both?
I'm not familiar with write message.
It's spelled right as in correct.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about it either.
Let's see. Okay, so it's a personalization and segmentation tool. Just on the outset, like taking a look at that, usually show perfect CTA. There shouldn't be any, because this will be probably a third-party script that gets thrown onto the site. Generate more leads, segment your MLS, I think both of them will work. They'll work fine together. What will end up happening is if you're having something dynamically, if you're changing like your CTA and you're looking at a heat map, you'll note that it's going to load the live site. So say if you're not factored into one of the personalizations, you might not see that exact message there. I could see that being a little wonky for some people, but it's not going to negate kind of like the different data sets that are in there. You could also, it's just from a visual perspective, if this is updating it on the site, you might not have a perfect representation in the heat map side of things, but everything else is going to be the same. Like recordings, you'll have like whatever that individual session was. If you're looking at funnels, like the page URL is not changing. So you can work all that stuff down there. It's just you're not gonna have the best representation from the heat map side of things, because it is a variable like that.
Cool. All right. Blue says, the concept and use case of funnels are totally new to me, and I get the necessity to use them, set them up properly, and track steps and engagement. Do you have in-depth tutorials to help me out?
We have some. I wouldn't say they're not as in-depth as I'd like them to be. We have in the knowledge base different breakdowns of actually just the standard funnel tool. I do have an overall like demo in our knowledge base going through the platform, kind of similar to what I did right there. But if you're looking for, I guess conceptually, are you looking for how to set them up correctly and those things within the application, or are you looking more like, is that or is it more of a question of how should I architect funnels? Sure. If I get a follow-up now, because if it's how do I architect, just go to dm.com and just learn learn from there, and then just map
They
those into the pet. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'd say go through. There's a ton of like just free content on digital marketer site as well as on TruConversion's blog. But that is a weak point in terms of like me taking some of the architectural lessons and then mapping them to the Smart Funnels tool. I think when we have more branching capabilities, one of like the really fun things I want to make is actually like templates. And this isn't something that's on the roadmap yet. This is something that's still like percolating in my head. So like don't hold me to this one here. But once we have branching working, I could see a world where it's like, hey, this is like the standard upsell training. Oh shoot, why didn't I think of this? Oh, you can go to I have a webinar that I did. It was a 3-part mini series that's all about architecture, and it shows it in regards to Smart Funnels. It's not going to go as in depth on that the exact how, and that's where we saw the breakage in terms of like, oh, we need branching stat, because when you have that, then it's like a matter of just taking what I was calling our perfect fun, like was it the perfect funnel blueprint, taking that and making it a template so you don't have to think about it or even architect, where it's just like boom, it's done, fill in what you need to do. That's where I really want to get the product to. So it's again advanced enough for even like the most kind of like advanced like funnel hacker and marketer to use, but also simple enough for anybody to get what they need out of it. So I'd be happy. I'll find the delivery. I'm not going to make people like register for something. I'll find the delivery pages for that webinar, and we can share it with the audience.
Okay. All right. What advantage do we have using your survey system versus the other ones we might already have? Is tracking on this slide-ins better? Can we only get tracking reports on yours?
So in terms of our survey tool versus the others, I think really the big differentiator is how we trigger the starts of micro surveys or the surveys themselves. So it's more of a matter of like, hey, when somebody is interacting with a page in a certain way that you're deemed like, oh, I need to actually prompt them with a micro survey or survey, then that's the main differentiator. So it's based off of activity. So those are activity-based triggers, is what differentiates from like a like a form stack or a type form or those things. But form stack and type form are better survey tools. Like I'm willing, because we're not trying to compete with them. They are phenomenal tools, and they do a lot more stuff than we do. What we're trying to do is get you active feedback when you most need it. So that's really the benefit of that there.
Awesome, thank you. What data is transferred in a CRM integration?
Right now, it's just I think it's first, last, and email right now. We haven't expanded those too much. We actually got some really cool questions about that on the deal page, which has been, I've been trying to think of other use cases of data points we could add. And we've been getting a few pieces of input there, but that's something that's been fairly weak. If I'm just going to be, I think I've been fairly candid as things are. We're a little weak there. You can get that data if you really need. We aren't pushing too much of the survey data into there, because that also requires kind of a concept of custom mapping and those types of things. And we just haven't had we hadn't had the use cases or just the volume of use for those tools to justify the work into that. But again, a lot of the reason why we're doing this entire promotion is to get people in here using this stuff so that we can then guide the rest of the roadmap there. Because I'll admit, I have such a bias towards passive user data. So things like, your quant data, your heat maps, your recordings, and those things, where passive's defined as people are acting as they normally would. They don't know they're being monitored, right? They don't know that's like not in like a creepy way, but they just don't know they're being monitored, and so they're acting like they normally would. Whereas active user data is the type of data where they know that they're being monitored, or they know they're giving feedback, which actually can have implicit biases put in place. So that's why we've put so much time on the passive analytics suite, and probably less time than we should have on the insight side of things. But again, like as we start seeing more users coming in, which has been phenomenal so far, we'll be able to kind of really hash out that roadmap a little bit more in regards to those tools.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, some people are saying that makes sense. This is great information. All right, we've got just a few more questions here, Sumo. So if you want to drop any more, a couple more just started popping in. But great. If you have any more, throw them in the Q&A box. This next one, can you create a webhooks integration, please?
Yeah, yes. Like that's come up so much like in the past like week.
I
And
bet it has.
yeah, yes, we can, we will. Again, timeline, all notwithstanding. I know integrations are a big topic that have been coming up,
Yeah.
and I know we're moving. Like I said, from a roadmap perspective, our next big focus and big launch is going to be on branching and really beefing up smart funnels. And then I imagine integrations are going to come next. Just because, yeah, I know Zapier is expensive, all that other stuff, but and I know webhooks could solve a lot of those issues. Yeah.
Yeah. They want to be able to connect any CRM of their choice.
Yeah. I dig it.
We hear you, Matthew. All right. Isaac says, if we need more than 15 domains, how can we access more?
That one I don't have a solution for just yet. So we do handle page views. Like if you need additional page views on there, like you can purchase more in the application, and you're only prompted when you're getting close to like hitting your page view limit for that month. So we have that in place. We don't currently have that for domains, and I can't tell you why. I'm the one who said to do it, and I don't know why we did it that way. So I that is definitely another one of those questions that's popped up where if we already do it for page views, we sure as hell should be doing it for domains. And so that's just a matter of getting functionality in place there. And kind of what price point looks like in those, I don't know yet, but I know now where, I mean, that question's probably come up like 20 or 30 times at this point, which is, it's a glaring kind of oversight, and one that will be remedied.
Thank you. I'm sure that makes plenty of people happy. What is an easy funnel builder for someone who is new?
An easy funnel builder. So if you're looking just to like honestly, there's so many easy, like ClickFunnels is good. They have some wonky stuff, I think, in their analytics and some things. It's good for people who are starting out. We go more, I just like everything on like DM, and actually really we're all based on WordPress for all of our sister companies. And really you just need something that can design a page that's intuitive and easy for the end user to be able to design. And then you just create, the sequence. We've been using Elementor for everything. And it's been an easy way for us to create page templates, page themes, and all that fun stuff, and being able to then track things down the way. So if every example, every page on digitalmarketer.com, TruConversion, Scalable.co, Recess.ai, all of our companies all use WordPress and Elementor for all of our pages. We don't even have a landing page builder anymore at that point. So we just use that, and we've used damn near all of them. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. I don't know what this word is, but I use GERU to map funnels and simulate potential conversions. Do you have any plans to include these kind of features?
No plans yet, and I'm familiar with that tool. That was some of the aesthetic I was thinking of for the addition of branching and smart funnels, where that could be kind of like your one-stop shop for that. That'll still need some work. Branching, I want to make sure I have functionality really tight and in place there for the different use cases. When you're looking at funnel mapping, that's a little different because you're like, I guess you could start pulling in the data points there if you were to do it that way, but I'd have to rethink a lot of stuff there. But I know, I think it's Guru or yeah, it's a solid funnel mapping tool. I'm not sure how many data points come into there because it's almost like you're building an org chart for your map, for your funnels, is kind of like what that is, how I've thought about that product. And we're more about not as much the brain of your funnel architecture, but we're the actual kind of like the performance engine for it. Right. So that's kind of where my head's at there.
Sweet. All right. Couple more questions. Blue says this one's silly. Silly question. Any way to track customers' interactions with email drip campaigns?
Ooh. The most we could have would be if we were seeing, you can set like your heat maps and your recording. You can set recordings to only show up if there's a particular parameter in the URL. So you can base everything off of URL parameters. So if you only want to see a heat map of people that were coming from one of your drip campaigns, whether it be like either the total campaign itself and then being able to filter down to individual ones, or if you just only care about mail 3, you can set that up where you'd say, I want this page and it must have this parameter in it, and that'd be the only way in which you'll see that one. You can filter down too based off that. So say if it's like everybody who hits the home page we want to be seeing, now let's filter down based off of this parameter in there. That's all possible as well.
Alrighty. For recordings, can we choose to record when specific events do not take place?
Not yet. No, I don't have a case for events that don't, but that's a good use case for something like, hey, I only want events where this doesn't occur. You can filter that down, I'm pretty sure, but I've only thought of include, not exclude.
Sure.
And I don't know why I was so one-sided there, but that's a really good thing to have. Hold on, I had to have thought of that. Hold on a second. Choose to record an event. Yeah, it's only going to be include. Okay, yeah. So no, we don't. Cool. But I want that now.
But I want it.
I know, now I want it.
Matthew wants to know if you can please work with Web Trends Optimize in the same way you do with Optimizely.
Ooh, I'll make a note.
Just add it to the list.
Yeah, just keep adding them. This list is getting big.
Both of those are AppSumo tools, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know about Optimizely, but Web Trends Optimize is for sure. All right, we have just one more question here yet again. Okay. So Sumolings, if you got any more, go ahead and drop them. Now is your time. Gary says, do we lose credits monthly or do they accumulate month to month?
So the additional page view credits. So what you end up doing with those is, so like as it stands, like whatever your plan is for your allotted page views, like you have them for that month. But if you have to buy additional page views, those are like, they don't expire. They're added. So say if you were like, I need to add 500,000, but you're not going to go through 500,000 that next month, you won't lose those. Those will only go as they're being used. Awesome. So yeah, so there's no expiry on those.
Sweet. And that's it. That's all we got. So I'm gonna
cool. Awesome.
Thank you so much for a fantastic walkthrough, for answering all of our questions. This has been a great webinar. And Sumolings, if you have not already, you can go to appsumo.com/TruConversion to redeem your codes. Again, this is starting Again, this is starting at $29 for a lifetime deal. Of course, it is backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. So you can go ahead, get set up, play around with it, and see how it works for you. Once you've done that, you can join all of the other reviewers that have been going crazy about this deal on the deal page. Before this, Justin was definitely raving about all of the great reviews that they've been getting.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's how much he loves Sumolings and this community, and yeah, all the nice things you've been saying. So keep it up, guys. And if you have any more questions, you can leave those on the deal page as well. Thank you so much, Justin. This has been a blast. Great.
Thanks. It's fun being here.
Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.